Hey guys, welcome to another fun and exciting iMight GT7 stream. This is the third round of manufacturers Group 3 cars at Bathurst. This is probably race 5. I did 2 previous races. The first race of the day I did, and it was a shocker. I started from the back, didn't qualify, and was doing okay, but I started on hards. Being at the back, I started on hards, and I was so focused on the guy behind me that when I pitted, I accidentally put hards on again. I just couldn't believe it, and so I had to pit twice to put the mediums on. So finished maybe from 14th to 11th or something. Massive DR drop, I would imagine. Race 2, again I started from the back. This is probably race 3. Started from the back and again progressed, but out of 14 drivers, finished 8th, so just out of the points, and so my DR dropped just a little bit more. And I thought, I can't leave it at that. I was going to present that one finishing 8th, and I just felt like my DR's dropping. I'm facing lesser drivers. I should be able to make something. So this was the race to get down to business. So did a proper qualifying, and qualified 9th, I think it was. Just getting past an easy pass. Getting past 2 guys, in 7th place at the moment. So change of strategy, not starting on hard, starting on mediums. Obviously this was a brake and suspension adjustment race, so got my suspension set up to where I felt like I was most comfortable and fastest. Of course, it's finding that the rear tyres are wearing a bit more than the front, so just put the brake balance a little bit to the front, and away we go, I guess. So qualified 9th, up into 7th, and on medium, so I'm going to go as far as I can. So I think I get up to lap 13, I pit on the last lap. I do believe that is the case. So a few Australians in here who I'm unfamiliar with. The second race had quite a few guys that I knew. One was Richard Bonner, or Super Pants 5, who I enjoy racing with, and he did quite well. I think he finished 4th. After considering he started 2nd, he finished 4th. Still a good result. But yeah, this race, I do get a bit nervous starting up near the front. There's a lot of pressure. I feel I put a lot of pressure on myself, I guess, but I'm not 100% into this track. Even though it is an Australian track, it's not fully a track that I fully enjoy. Mainly on the hill, because there's a lot of blind corners. Bit of an attempt there, at least it was clean, you know, the trying to pass and then the contact and then pretty much the release, but that's not the last we'll see of T. Dyson. Can't help but think of the vacuum cleaner when I see that name, Dyson. Yeah, we will cross paths with him in the future, but so far so good. Just trying to keep in mind the tyres. So a moment like this, there's no need for me to really try and catch up hard to these guys and just chew up my tyres. Just take it easy as I can while still trying to push. Did find this race was quite intense, is probably the word. I was going to use the word interesting, maybe intense. You know, there's moments when you think maybe I'll pit this lap, let's say lap 6, but you've got a bit of a gap, and then you start thinking, well, I'm going to go on to mediums, for example. They might wear, I might go another lap, but there's a car behind that's catching you. And the concern is that if they do catch, they're going to try and pass in a real terrible spot. But passing the pits as we are now, that's the moment where you think, do I pit or do I keep going? And there might be just a bit of a back off from the car behind. And you think, I need to go for another lap. Can't rely on the mediums all the way. As much as I thought until this race, and then I went 13 laps. Yeah, there's a bit of a commitment required, you know, when you're making your decisions. And up on the hill, you know, it's pretty hard to look at split times, or, you know, look at the top right corner, the main map, see how much, if I'm going to pit, how much am I going to land into a gap or into a crowd of cars. Pretty hard to make that judgment. I was looking at the replay of the bottom right hand corner, and my god, I almost look like I know what I'm doing. It looks quite impressive, that bottom right hand bit of footage. But there's a lot of little adjustments and just lifting off the brakes in this area. Yeah, just this is a bit like the Nürburgring. This track is a little bit of you've got it or you haven't. And if you haven't got it, if you're not approaching corners properly, the split time of the car behind is just slowly reeling you in. You know, they're just catching. There is a name that or two, I think, maybe just one. The Australian guy in P2, Kaboom. I realise that I'm familiar with that guy. Normally his name is One Big Kaboom. So this was Eva, who I just passed, and I thought it was pretty good. He's gone off track. He's going slow. And he hasn't really challenged that. I only just got past him, so I appreciated that from him. You know, he's screwed up and seeing that I'm jumping down his throat just to let me go, which is pretty good. So my setup is this track. I find I think it's an early morning race. There's no moisture on the track, but it does look moist, so the corners are quite slippery. So I decided traction control 1, just to try and control any rear end spins, and then I added the ASM and counter steer on strong. During the late in the week, just a day or two before this race, I found I was getting my fastest times with them, I believe, or maybe not. But at the last minute I thought I'll add them and make sure I haven't forgotten anything. This corner here is probably my worst. I can see it quite clearly, but there are times, mainly near the end of the race, I'm just going around it so slow as I'm understeering. I just can't believe it. So I started P9 and I'm now in P4. So I've probably missed it. I think there was one or two people who were on hards and got off them pretty quick. Although I do feel like, almost lost it there. I do feel like that's a bit of a mistake. Even though you're right up the front and you get the hards out the way, you pit out the way early, you end up being behind other people who are just going to hold you up and potentially cause collisions and penalties. So my plan was, if I'm going to be using mediums, I'm going to go as long as I can and try and just get away from people. Because imagine if you're near the back and you're a good driver and you have to overtake 6 people and then you pit. You've pretty much got to do it all over again. Unless you're timing it perfectly where everyone else is pitting as you're catching them. But that's just near impossible to predict or calculate that move. I did say this isn't my favourite track, and no it isn't, but I do find I'm getting more confident at it. Those last 2 corners are a little bit blind, this one a little bit. Yeah, I'm getting better at it. I guess the thing I like about this track is if you're just slightly faster than someone but you're caught behind them, what I like is just to be right in their tail and pressure them, like the guy behind me. You know, I'm probably in the race, I knew he was behind me. So a car like that being behind you can put a bit of pressure on you. So this was Eva again, the guy who had the accident, let me go, and he's now catching. So I thought, well, there, so it's here. Yeah, just keep to the side. It's pretty much the same. And then it's when I'm behind someone, make sure I don't brake too late and go into the back of them. Ah, that's right. So because of that level of teamwork, I thought I'd show him a bit of respect, and he's fast enough, he's caught me. It'd be silly for me to go for a very slow overtake up this straight, only to slow him down again. So I thought, well, I'll just bump draft him. And I think it was the first 2 races where there were similar situations where if people were bump drafting, they'd be catching up pretty good. But everyone battling it doesn't help. So for me it was the moment of don't battle, just let them go and teamwork it. Down to my least favourite corner. So he's got away quite a bit there. I think I'm just too slow. Maybe I'm entering a bit too quick. And so it's a quick entrance and a slow exit. So I don't think it's this lap, maybe next lap I think I get an opportunity to bump draft him again. Being mindful of the guy behind me is, I think the split time is dropping. So it looks like 5.5 seconds. That, again, that bottom right footage, I'm looking pretty good in that. Just being so careful not to touch walls. So even in this part, I'd be thinking if I could be close enough to him, I'd be bump drafting him all the way. So the leaders, what are they there? 15 seconds ahead. It's quite a gap. I think those three are all together. Oh no. Looks like third place is just in front of us. It's another little slide there. Just touching the edge of that grass. So I think it's the next straight again. I think I'll get quite close. I'm able to bump draft. If not, next lap. Yeah, I wondered what he was doing here. You know, just sort of unnecessarily moving all over the place. And for all I know, he could be just very gently trying to warm up his tyres for this bit. Again, that bottom right footage looks pretty good. I'm really putting the pressure on this guy. Just not giving up at all. Not letting him get away from me. Now, even if it's a little bit of pressure over a prolonged period of time, like that, it can slowly start to get to you. Here. Yeah, he's just lost a bit of grip there, so he's lost a bit of pace. So going in for the bump draft again. So there's one, and I think the second one is just in the last minute before the braking zone. Yeah, I didn't want to push my luck there. And I guess in a way, you know, 5th place at the moment, I'm happy with it. I've always said in the past, sometimes you've got to just be grateful for the position you're in, don't push your luck. And also, he does have quite a bit of pace, he's doing alright, so I didn't want to go for any silly moves. And also, I didn't want the pressure of him on my backside, so bit of a waiting game. So again, we're catching up with T. Dyson, the vacuum cleaner. So there goes Eva, he's pitting early. Not sure what tyre he had on, so he was on the medium as well. But this is, obviously I'm thinking to myself, right, I've got to pit at some point. A little bit of open space here, so just go for it, push. I've got to try and undercut that guy. I'm to lap 10 already. So he went a bit wide there, and watching him, I just went just a touch wide, just making contact with those curbs. Almost hitting the walls. So yeah, my tyres are not too bad. They're showing wear. So I don't know if it was now, but occasionally on the straights, of course, I'd be looking at my lap times. And it looks like I'm averaging 2 minutes and 6. Occasionally, like there's my highest is, my fastest is a 2:05, and then occasionally I'm hitting 2:07s. Yeah, I realise doing too many on the hards, as close as they are, the mediums are just a little bit faster. So I've still got, and I can't pronounce his name, but the guy in P5, he's still behind me. He is catching, so it's a question of when do I pit. So that was Dyson. When I said we cross paths again, yeah, he's just gone off on the grass, hit the that little bridge section. So P3, but yet to pit. Have to put hards on, and looks like that T Dyson has probably interrupted the guy in P4. It's caused him to drop off a bit, but again he's catching. So again it was back to when do I pit, and do not forget to pit. I'd hate to see I'm on lap 14 and just go, oh bugger, 1 minute. So do I pit now or not? It all depended on the split time behind me. So that's just grown. I mean, he was under a second, and now he's over 2 seconds. So that gave me a bit of breathing room. My lap times are still consistent, still good. And there is a bit of a crowd behind me, so I didn't want to pit too soon. And I think the other reason I thought that was putting on hards, the tyres are going to be cold, they're usually a bit slippery lap 1, potentially lap 2, so I didn't want there to be a lap 2. I wanted to, if I can, go to lap 13 and then just put up with the hards on 1 lap. That was it. So P2, the Kaboom. Pitting, but I think I'm just a little bit far away. So he's only just put the hard tyres on, and I thought, oh my god, I've just got past him. So here was my dilemma now. I do not want to get in this guy's way. Wasn't really thinking about the guy in front, how much of a gap there is. I just didn't want to get in his way. Although I knew he's just put hard tyres on, and they will be a bit slippery, a little bit slow. And we've still got 3 laps to go, 12, 13, 14. So a bit of pressure to pit early, but I thought my tyres, even though they're a bit worn, they're warm, and the grip will be relatively good. I've got rhythm with them, familiarity, whereas this guy's just put on the hard tyres. He may struggle a bit. So hopefully I can get away from him. Or if he was to pass, on the straights. Odds are he'd be doing it where it's not good for either of us. So again, the pressure was on, do I pit? I do believe the gap is just climbing a bit. So what's that, 1.3 seconds? Not a lot, 1.4. I guess when I'd look in my rear view mirror, if I can't see him, it was keep going. Squeeze another one. Didn't want to, again, I didn't want to put the hards on and then I'm doing 2 laps with the hard tyre. And again, the gap, sorry, not the gap, the crowd of cars behind me. How many cars are going to get past? So I was just pushing as hard as I can to stay in front so I can pit when I'm ready. So again, I think it was around here I thought lap 13, it's pit time. Forget about do I or don't I, it is pit time, you're pitting. And yet the guy behind me, Kaboom, still felt like he was putting me under a bit of pressure. I thought he doesn't know if I've pitted or not, and he might be really trying to push to get past. I just wanted to get to that pit lane as soon as I could. I wasn't aware, but he has collided with a wall up the mountain, so he's got himself a 1.5 second penalty. I think it's 1.5. So you'll see as we go through the yellow penalty markers, he's ghosted now and dropping away, which I wasn't aware of at the time. I'm just running for dear life. Even there was a tiny bit of a late break. Now it's time to enter. Do not get pit entry wrong. It's being a little bit too cautious, I think. That Kaboom would have been happy to see me pitting. And again, it was don't get the wrong tyre. At this point, I'm just watching all the names passing me. It's a final lap, no penalties, luckily. Coming out in P5, thinking, are there going to be cars racing past me? And yet, no, there's at least a 4-second gap. And I'm telling myself it's going to be slippery. Cold, hard tyres, just back it off a bit, give it about a 90% effort in these corners, don't do anything silly, don't get a penalty. Just manage it. Last corner, again it was my worst. And even though that occurred, I thought I've still got time up my sleeve. Don't panic. Yeah, definitely happier with this race compared to the first two. And that was it. Yep, doing the old weave. It's pretty happy. So starting 9th, moving up 4 places to 5th. Yeah, that was it for me. I was happy with that. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed the race. Leave a like and a comment if you don't mind, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.